Hey, what's up, everybody? Spinny Plus. And this is kind of a random, unscheduled, unplanned live stream. I'm not really sure why I'm doing the live stream, apart from the fact that I'm really interested or in the mood to talk anime, but not in the way that I normally do on my main channel, who talks anime. More so in a candid manner, because I feel it's appropriate, or rather, the right way to handle is to distribute the types of content. And the basic idea, or why I started this second channel, is to essentially keep the super highly, or not super, but the highly edited videos on the main channel, and then on the secondary channel, do more vlogger style content, but also try to get into the habit of live streaming, occasionally bringing in guests, and just a more relaxed but with a higher output. So I'm trying to balance both, in addition to a gaming channel. With that channel, it's worth noting that the main reason why I'm doing it is to get into the habit of producing content regularly, and also getting into the habit of developing a certain flow of work. With the flow of work that I have in mind being that I want to get into the habit of working as I'm on a project, as opposed to compiling everything and waiting till the last minute and then doing everything after the fact, because I feel that's the main reason why my main channel has stagnated so much over the past year. Actually, more than that, even before the rebrand to Lou Talks Anime, it was pretty lackluster in terms of the amount of content that I was producing. So that's why over the past month, I've released more videos than I have in the past year and a half on my main channel. So a lot of things are going to be happening over the course of all these channels. Specifically with this one, I'm always looking for little bits of news that I feel are worth commenting on. Though the reason why the One Punch Man one was the most recent video is because I haven't really seen anything that has merited a video, because I'm not going to dilute my content by making a video about every piece of news. I have to actually be interested. It looks like there's some people here watching. Hi, Faith. How you doing? I'm the father of this community, not the grandpa, but it's fine. I might as well. I may be old enough to be a grandfather, if you think about it. Though I'm not. Actually, I knew someone, um, a friend of a friend. I'll say that much. Who at the age of 34 was a grandparent. It's interesting that I'm only 5 years younger than that person was then. They're older now, but that's beside the point. But anyways, I didn't come here to talk about my personal life. I came here to talk about anime. And so far, or at least what I've been watching lately, is I've watched a fair amount of Canon 2006, which I really don't like, and I've made several attempts at getting myself to watch the show, and so far I've only watched 12 episodes. At some point in the future, I'd like to watch more, only to finish it and then burn the DVDs. Not like to rip them or duplicate them, but with actual fire. And I've been watching the first season of Darker Than Black, which I've only seen the first 5 episodes, and it's all right. Just some pretty fun action sequences because of Bones. Bones is good. Yeah, and beyond that, I've also been watching the fall seasonals. Looks like Garrow's here, and so Subs and Dubs. Cool. Hey, Brooks, if you want to hop in, feel free to let me know, and I'll shoot you a link over Twitter DMs. Faith is saying she likes the second season more. I've never seen the second season. That's part of the reason why I'm watching the first season again, is so I can go back and watch the second season. I feel like I remember everything that's happened, but it's been so long that I've just never gotten around to watching it. And I feel like if I was to go and watch the second season now, I would be kind of lost. That's the basic idea that I have going on. All right. I see what you just said, Brooks. That works. Feel free. Just I guess hit me up on Twitter and I'll go ahead and I'll shoot you the link. Uh watch the second season first. No, Faith. I watch things in release order. Which is why there will be one exception to that, and that's when I rewatch Monogatari. I want to rewatch that in actual chronological order. It's like a spinoff story. Didn't didn't season 2 come first? Isn't it more of a prequel? I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass, and that's okay. Um, so as for the currently airing shows, I've seen the first episode of Izetta, and I've seen the first episode of Tiger Mask and Blood of Wars, and I think there's one with a little robot, which was a kid show. It wasn't very good, so I'll just go ahead and not mention that one at much length. But I did enjoy Iveta, and I fucking absolutely loved Tiger Mask. As someone that has seen some of the original shows, I didn't watch the first Tiger Mask. I remember seeing the second one like 10 years ago. And it's pretty accessible for people that haven't seen it. Toei is doing a pretty good job with it, I think, which is surprising. I don't really get to say that often. I don't know what you're asking me to show my daughter, Faith, but of everything that I've mentioned thus far, nothing is really appropriate for her age. That's one thing that I've been seeing a lot of is a lot of new parents asking for anime recommendations. I routinely see the threads in our anime of people trying to find out either anime that's appropriate for their kids or like maybe younger siblings or nieces and nephews. And I always try to actively participate, sharing my experiences. Um, I often, in other private conversations, bring up my daughter's interest in anime and her opinions because I feel that a lot of the time we as people that consume anime only view it from the perspective of an adult as opposed to what would be the intended audience. So that's why whenever a show that's made for kids is discussed, I always bring it up or bring her up in the conversation. That's fine. Show her Ava. Yeah, she's gonna watch Ava at some point. And no, I'm not gonna turn her into you. I'm addressing those comments to Faith, chat, or people that watch this in the future. So for the Tiger Mask anime, there were a lot of references to Japanese pro wrestling because I'm not sure if New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is the promotion or one of the largest promotions in Japan, is working with Toei in the production, or if they just release a licensing, because clearly their logo is printed on several things in the show, and one of their main stars appeared in the show. Yeah, so it's really accessible, but it also feels like a show that was made in the 90s, a remake of a show that was made in the 80s, that was made in the 90s, that's being broadcasted today. But being an older anime fan, I think I really appreciate that. So if you're the type of person that feels nostalgia towards older shows, it may be worth a watch. Back to Izetta. Izetta was a pretty fun, well, not fun. It was a well done first episode. I feel like the characters were a little bit more dry than I would have liked. My reason for calling them dry is the main character at present is quite stoic because of the limitations provided to her within the context of the narrative. So, for example, she's a princess. a very important dignitary that needs to conduct herself in a certain way, very tense period for her country. So it makes sense for her to be very, very cold and very, very dry. Is very straightforward. Um, so I'm curious to see how her character develops now that her childhood friend is introduced, and there's the Yuri subtext, which is always a plus in my book. Speaking of Yuri subtext, I'm looking forward to the next episode or next season, Euphonium. I have only seen the first season. I haven't seen the OVA just yet. Um, I am looking forward to watching it at some point in the future. I feel like there's a lot that could be done with that story. I feel like they didn't. It didn't end in a conclusive enough way for me. Like I want to see what KyoAni does with the relationships that have flourished between the characters. I almost call them customers. Okay. Let me just go ahead and tweet this out one more time. Live streaming. Is that the right link? Yeah, it's the right link. Cool. I have multiple tabs open with different YouTube videos. Speaking of YouTube videos, I've made a lot of changes in how I do my editing. So I was actually part of the reason why I've set up this live stream was to try and get some feedback in terms of like the aesthetic that I've chosen to go with on my main channel. If you've seen videos, your thoughts on that, using the live action shots, mixing it with some footage, just a different approach, or rather, my original approach. Because for anyone that came into my channel after I joined MangaPod, I was originally an anti-vlogger in the sense that I was on, or that I am on this channel, where I was on camera and I would splice in footage. And I felt the need to move away from that, or this style of content, to go in the scripted route, which was good. Which was good for my main channel for a good amount of time. But I feel like by forcing myself to script, I'm really lazy when it comes to scripting, so I don't produce as much content. So again, that's another reason for why I transitioned to this channel. So I'd like a critique on the visual presentation on this channel. So like in terms of the editing, the shot composition, the lighting, I'm working right. Like I haven't put any money into anything yet. I'm trying to work with what I already have. But if you happen to know about those things, feel free to send recommendations along that way. I'd really appreciate it. See, Yo Strix is in the comments. What's up, man? He does live reactions. He also streams on Twitch. He's a cool guy. Go check out his stuff. So that's the majority of what I've been watching lately. I've also been more or less trying to organize my physical backlog and trying to figure out what I should be watching next and how I should prioritize things. So, for example, I know that Canon 2006, Darker Than Black Season 1, Darker Than Black Season 2. I want to go ahead and watch the second season of K-On!, Little Busters, and several other shows. What I'll probably do is I'll make a Google Doc or some sort of display or some sort of JPEG. I don't know, and post it on Twitter and have people vote on what I should do next. Kind of in the same vein as Arcada's review week of awesome. Maybe like set up a survey. I don't know. There are a lot of different options. It really depends on what the limitations on, like, let's say a website like Strawpoll is anyways. So yeah, live streaming on a Saturday is something that is usually an option for me. But the reason why I don't do it is because I know most people have things to do on Saturdays. I'm not so sure in terms of like the weeb community, how active they are on Saturdays. Uh, I know my friends or some of my friends in Atlanta are at um, Anime Weekend. I think it's what it's called, and other friends are at TwitchCon right now. So people are doing things. That's good for them. Uh, Speaking of Twitch, I've been streaming on Twitch myself. Yesterday, I was streaming a little bit of Streamline, which is a game that came with a perk with Twitch Prime, which if you have Prime, you can actually link it to your Twitch account and get free stuff. So I did that, and it's the game that they were giving away for free, and it's all right. It's a lot of fun, but I feel like on my current rig, it's not going to run properly. Also on my internet's fine, but I feel like other people were lagging it out a little bit, and that was affecting my quality of gameplay. So I'm gonna give it a shot probably tomorrow and stream more on that on my Twitch. Which if you don't follow my Twitch, it's twitch.tv/Lou Plays Games, I think is the URL. Tog WRLP in the chat is asking if I finished Bakuman. I still have 2 volumes left. The way I read Bakuman and the actual physical manga that I own is I only read it while my daughter is doing her homework, because I feel like if she sees me watching something on TV or um or maybe playing with my phone or playing video games, uh I feel like what would end up happening is she would get distracted. So I think it's easier for me to just read a book, quote unquote, read a book. It's gotten her into the habit of reading more because she sees me reading. So I'm kind of being a positive influence on her without taking away from my time with her, because I'm doing something while she's technically supposed to be occupied. But yeah, I have 2 volumes more, and I'll be finishing them probably on Wednesday, because I don't think she has school on Monday. Garo's saying, I think on your main channel, the videos client. Hold on. I think on your main channel, the video clips is a good touch. The thumbnails are good. Yeah, I actually put a fair amount of time into my thumbnails, mostly because rather than use actual photo editing software, I use Sony Vegas, which every time I say that, it always weirds people out, especially people that do YouTube. Because you don't think, or most people don't think to use Sony Vegas as a photo editor. It's just really easy to work with since I already know how to work with Vegas. And essentially the version of Vegas that I'm using right now, which is Pro 10, which is old as shit, which is why I have all the limitations that I do on my editing. It has a built-in function to screen capture, and I think that isn't readily available in later versions of Vegas. I think that's a feature that they took away. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't upgraded. It's just so much easier. And I'd rather do that than, fully render a video of just the thumbnail and then use a clipping tool and cut that out and use that. I don't like it. I feel like that would mess with it. At least, yeah. I don't think it's good. I think your main channel. Okay, yeah. So it's the same thing I just read. Yeah, I've also been trying to up the quality on my thumbnails on this channel, like the One Punch Man video or thumbnail for that one. That's image with that I pulled of the background of one of the cities, and I threw a Gaussian blur over it through a PNG file of Saitama, and a PNG of the logo, and then I tried to match the color on that with the text of the confirmation, which was really difficult for me because I'm fucking colorblind. So it gets really challenging. And the type of colorblind that I am is I confuse everything. So it's pretty terrible. I see in color, it's just the connection doesn't process properly in my brain. Um, so yeah, I really appreciate the feedback. Whatever additional feedback you guys are able to provide, I would be very much appreciative of it. As for like the gaming channel, which is for anyone that's unfamiliar, it's Lou Plays Games. So far, I've completed 2 games on there. The games being a point and click game called Mechanica, which is very much, at least aesthetically, influenced by Adventure Time, and it's just a very, very dark game. Little bits of nudity, which which I had to edit out. I didn't know it had that when I first got the game, and just dark humor and lots of anime references. I feel like the creators are fans of anime, particularly of mecha, but I feel like they were a little bit heavy-handed and were bordering on pandering with the content of it. And also, I hated the ending. There are going to be other games that are happening within that universe, but nothing that I've seen thus far. Like it's not done. I've seen what's in production for the next game, which is called Agatha Knife, um, which is going to be another point and click game. But I feel like it's not within the same. Either it's not in the same continuity, or it's a prequel and not a sequel, because of the ending of Mechanica doesn't really allow for sequels if it's done the way it's supposed to be done. So I guess we'll find out. The other game that I played was a puzzle platformer called Hue, which was basically focused on a color mechanic and alternating colors to access different parts of the map. Very much, or very similar theoretically to a Metroidvania, but more Castlevania than Metroid, because the rooms themselves don't fit well in terms of a map because it's a 2-dimensional game. That one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that game. Again, a little underwhelmed by the ending of it, but I feel like I could probably speedrun it at this point since I've done the puzzles so many times. So I don't think there's much of an interest for it. What's up, Dakota? How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Garo says, is there ever worry about getting copyright claimed when you use vid clips, or just certain shows get flagged no matter what content you use? Okay, I can give you my perspective, or at least my approach to how I handle that. I don't get flagged for content ID. In fact, the only time I've ever been flagged was a really, really terrible and dumb AMV that involved the use of the Skrillex song Bangarang, and they flagged, or they got me, or they dinged me for content ID on that. And actually, you know what? There was a second time by an indie artist called Greaves, that I sampled part of his instrumental as background music, which is fine. You know, those are the only 2 times. But in terms of like anime footage, I never use anime music as background music because that always gets like hit really quickly. The trick for footage is to only use 10 seconds of it. Now, if you ask people like Callum, they'll say that's all you need to do. I never limit it to just that. I actually zoom into the footage a little bit, usually because I don't take the time to download the RAWs. It's easier for me to just to get the footage with the subs, like the hard subs on it, and then just zoom into it and work around the existing subs. And then from there, once it's zoomed in, I mirror it, and it's, yeah, I've never been hit with a strike or a copyright claim. Talk WRLP. It sure has been a while since Madhouse made a season 2, so I was kind of surprised to see a second season of One Punch Man. Do you remember any recent Madhouse anime that have a second season? Um, I don't remember if Ippo Rising was done by Madhouse. I would believe so, because they did the original seasons. So that's a little bit back. And then see here's the thing. I don't know if shows that are split core also qualify as being second seasons. Like, is it one season that was because it's all like planned out, or is it two seasons because it's two separate planned productions? I don't know. It's complicated. But I mean, Ippo Rising would be the first and only one that really comes to mind. Um, Dakota just wants to give some love. I really appreciate that. Dakota, I try and flip and zoom more myself. Yeah, that's the easiest way to go around it, because I could go and torrent the raw footage and go through all that hassle of finding a decent quality file, or I could just download it from where I download things, which you guys don't need to know that. You can figure it out. Tog is asking, you got me curious on which anime did you use Bangarang for the AMV? That was a Tribe Cool Crew. It was Tribe Cool Crew, that CGI dancing anime, and it was like a 1 minute AMV, and it was the dumbest thing ever. And I actually got the idea for it from a tweet that Digi sent out. But yeah, that thing is no longer in existence, and I'm thankful it's gone. Everything is 9 seconds. Yeah, Dakota's got the plan. What I'll also do is I always look for where the cuts are in the anime. In other words, when they're going to transition from one frame to another, like, or from one cut to another, or like changes in camera angle, basically. And what I do is, if it's a little over 10 seconds, what I'll do is I'll either compress it and just speed up the footage a little bit and compress it down to 9 seconds, or I'll find places to trim within it, because normally you can cut out frames here and there. Um, like, all right, I'll give you an example. If a character is talking and they're having a conversation and it's two characters, and there'll be some instances where they'll just have the second character talking off screen with the tight shot on the face of the first character, not saying anything, for like, let's say, 3 seconds. Well, essentially what they're doing when they do that is they're not, like, they're making a concerted effort to not have to animate for that period of time. So they're essentially using the same frames over and over again. So what I do is I'll just cut a portion of that out and leave whatever I think feels natural. So yeah, that's how I edit. It's pretty simple. I don't do anything too over the top because I'm more or less limited. I've tried to learn Adobe products, and I just, it doesn't register for me. I've been using Vegas on my for anime for 3 years, and 3 years before that, I was using it for a daily vlogging channel, different skit channels that I would work on, and just a bunch of test editing that I would do with different things. Just because I've always enjoyed video editing. I've never been particularly good at it, which is why a lot of my videos get like, I take a lot of my videos down, is because as I improve or as I learn different ways to do things, I always end up becoming dissatisfied with my work, which is why if you look at my main channel, a lot of it's gotten pretty barren. Like, I've removed so much. That's fine. I think it's better that way, to be honest, that I've removed so much of that content from my YouTube, only to have the plans to replace it with better content. Okay. I'm just checking my social media stuff right now. I have some notifications. Nothing too crazy to worry about. Do you know how ReZero's third arc ends, really? In other words, have you been spoiled? I've been partially spoiled. I've been told that a thing happens to a character that wasn't in the last episode. I'll say that much. And I feel like it was a good place to stop for an adaptation, and it does leave room to, or at least, yeah, it does give room once you come in, or at least an interesting plot point to pursue once you actually come into it. Again, I still have issues with shows or content being animated so early into its existence. I feel like if they were going to adapt ReZero, it should have happened later, not now. And I think that was the main point I was trying to convey in the video when I was talking about the actual ending. I feel like the problem with anime as it stands now is that since it's being used as a marketing tool and since so much content is being produced in general, what's happening is to promote their content, they're producing shows of things that are too early in their existence. So another example, Boku no Hero Academia, I feel like we barely scratched the surface with that first anime. So I feel like, I don't know. I just wasn't happy with the amount of content that was covered in it. Having read further, I feel confident in saying that. In fact, I think it would have been better if they would have gone 26 episodes and animated up to chapter 56, because they could have extended things a little bit better, and it would have ran a lot smoother. It cut there, then you have an extended period of time where there isn't going to be a second season. Then they finally make a second season and animate up to that point, anyways. Tog is saying, yeah, I think they proposed the anime really early on, and that's why I covered a lot less. I feel like we would be getting more of it sooner if White Fox was actually a part of the production committee, which they're not. They didn't pay anything, or they didn't put money up for the production of ReZero. That was all funded by the production committee. So it all depends on if they have an interest in producing more. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out. It just goes to say how much success Boku no Hero Academia got in Japan. It's doing really well. I know it was pretty high up in the rankings. I don't know where it's currently sitting in the rankings though. I want to see more of it animated. I feel like it does, like the manga itself doesn't get good until once we're in the actual tournament. I think that's where it starts to get good, and then it ramps up from there. Yeah. So I really enjoy Boku no Hero Academia, and reading the manga makes me want to rewatch the anime. I can promise you that it's going to be on the next Manga Pod schedule. I'm gonna fight for that shit. Like, that needs to happen. Which, for anyone that's watching this that is unfamiliar with Manga Pod, it's a podcast that I do with Happy Aaron, Dodger from Press Hard to Continue, Yokurama from Yokurama Game Talk. Though it's been a while since he's been on, and we usually bring on a guest. Actually, next week or on Tuesday, we're going to be doing Lucifer and Biscuit Hammer, best guy ever, as a guest, and Nate's going to be here to talk with us the first 23 chapters, and that's Nate from the PCP. So far from the PCP, we've had Digibro as a guest, Endless Jess, we've had Jeff Thu from Mother's Basement, and now Best Guy Ever. So we've had the 4 anime guys. Who knows if patreon.com/Ben will join at any point. Who knows if Devu or anyone else. I think, did I name them all? I think I did. Yeah, I have no idea. Fried Sheep is crying about Yoku. Shit, yeah, I do that all the time. I want Yoku to come back. I really do. Like he's not he has not, let me clarify, he has not officially parted ways with MangaPod. We're all friends. He's just busy with other things. And I feel bad asking him like, "Hey man, you wanna come be on the show?" Like I think we did once, and that was for Dodger's birthday with the Bremen reading. And um I don't know what happened with that, but it was kind of in the works of like, all right, like Aaron and I were talking, like we need to surprise Dodger and have Yoku show up for this one. Like that would be because we didn't book a guest for it, and it was for that specific reason. And that's part of the reason why I left. If you look at the MangaPod schedule, I did I think a Rick roll for that video. I just left it there, and it was perfect. I was very happy with that. Um, Garo's asking, how did I get involved with MangaPod? And Tog is asking if there's been a MangaPod on Bakuman. All right, I'll go with Garo's question first. The way I got involved with MangaPod is I was originally friends with Yoku, Daza, and Aaron, and like not watching MangaPod, not as a viewer. And then I started watching MangaPod, and I really enjoyed the show. I think it was like maybe 30 episodes in, so I was pretty late to the party. And then I just started showing up every week, and eventually one day Aaron asked me to mod the stream, which is cool. I was like, all right, yeah. The regular mod couldn't show up, and she wanted someone to mod the stream. So I went ahead and I did that. I modded, and I did that for like a good 4 to 6 months. Every Tuesday, showing up modding for them. And then one day, I get asked to join to replace Daza, who had parted with the podcast for reasons that I'm not going to talk about. That's all I'm going to say, just for reasons that I'm not going to talk about. And that's it. You know, they asked me to join. I joined. My first manga, I believe, was either Helsing or Psychometer AG. It was one of those two. And yeah, that's basically what we did. I just proceeded from there. I think one of the biggest changes that I brought to MangaPod is I actively try to get guest booked for the show. So, for example, all the PCP guys, I'm the person that booked them. I'm the person that booked Gigak when he came on. Not everyone, you know, like obviously Aaron and Dodger also do everything, but it's the point when I showed up is when we started to have more guests show up. So I like to think that I was at least partially responsible for that. And I'm very happy with it too. I feel like we've had some really interesting moments on MangaPod because we've started having guests come around. Tog is asking if we've ever done a Bakuman MangaPod. They have. I haven't been a part of it. That was before I joined. I don't know how much of it they read. All I know is that I would like to read more of it. I wouldn't mind rereading it because Bakuman is amazing. It's top 10 for me. I don't know the ending. I don't know the last 2 volumes, what they have. I don't see it cracking my top 5 because my top 5 manga are Oyasumi Pun Pun, Vinland Saga, Onani Master Kurosawa, Molester Man, and 20th Century Boys. But it's definitely like probably number 6. If it can knock off any of them, then that's great. To round out my top 10, or actually, I don't know if I can round out my top 10 like off the top of my head. I know Monster is also up there pretty high, and that actually I think has the potential to usurp a spot in my top 5. Fried Sheep asked, I have watched MangaPod since the start. I never really interacted, but I really miss Yoku. You need to interact, Fried Sheep. I would really appreciate that. I like seeing people in the comment section chatting amongst themselves or pointing things out to the host. I feel like that's something that we on MangaPod really, really enjoy, is interacting with the people that watch the show. Now, for a more active chat, I recommend watching the Twitch stream. Though the YouTube stream, we also have the chat going there, and that's always like it's pretty well handled. I like the chat on the YouTube, but I prefer the Twitch chat just because I like the interface on Twitch better. Still understand still don't understand what happened with Daza. Again, that's not something I can talk about. And I don't think any of the MangaPod hosts would actually talk about it. It's just something that needed to happen. I'll say that much. Tog is saying, because if there hasn't been one, then maybe Ben might get into MangaPod since it was really influential to him. What was the fourth one? I don't know what you mean in regards to what was the fourth one. Wait, if you're talking about my top 5 manga, then that was probably Onani Master Kurosawa, aka Masturbation Master Kurosawa. Speaking of something that is kind of, it's not manga, but it's manhwa. Sweet Guy is also great. Kind of in the same vein as Onani Master Kurosawa, only less surreal and just more weird, but beautiful art. Amazing art. Any guess you felt like a fanboy when they came on MangaPod? Probably Jesse, Endless Jess. Jesse just produces such interesting content. I don't know. I just really enjoy it. Also, Cry, when Cry came on. I like Cry stuff. I wouldn't say I was a fanboy, but he's a funny guy. He's a really funny guy, and I really enjoyed having him on as a guest. I would like to have him come on again. The hell is this? I don't know, Kamara. It's just shit, is what it is. Do you know Akumetsu? That does not ring a bell, Tog. I don't know who that is or what that is. Please enlighten me. Okay. Kamara, yes, I'm Lutox Anime. This is my secondary channel, Spinny Plus, which is more vlogger content or vlogger style content, which is unscripted, which is why I'm doing a live stream here on this channel instead of my other channel. Let's see. Shadow, hey Lou, how's it going? It's going pretty well. Thank you for asking. Akumetsu is a manga. Let me look that up. I want to look this up right now. What the shit is this? Okay, the cover art looks pretty badass. It's an early 2000s seinen psychological thriller. Interesting. Nagasawa Shina was just your average third-year high schooler. When her father's company went bankrupt, to ease the strain on her family, she secretly begins prostituting herself. At her first job, a mysterious masked man crashes the party, and it's someone she knows. Okay. I'm going to ask that you throw that into the recommendation thread that we have on reddit.com/r/mangapod. And that'll remind me to try and get that on the schedule, or at least to personally give the first chapter a look to see if it's something that we can put on the schedule. After Reddit, I can definitely see why. Just think of it as a better Death Note. Okay, you're setting the bar a little high. I know Death Note has its problems with the latter half. At least the show. I've never read the manga. I own all of the Death Note manga. I bought one of those boxes that those box sets that has all of it, and I haven't taken the time to read it yet. But yeah, I definitely plan on reading in the near future. I know that the manga is better than the anime, so I want to read that. But if you're saying it's better than Death Note, that's really interesting. And please don't say more because I don't want to be spoiled. I think that you've said enough that my interest has been piqued. Oh shit, Yoku responded to a tweet of mine. That makes me happy. I mentioned to him that he should watch the Tiger Mask anime because he is very much into like 90s anime and just the whole aesthetic of it. So I think you would really appreciate it. And I think anyone, like I've said earlier, I think anyone that has any attachment to that era of anime should definitely give it a shot. It's nothing particularly groundbreaking in terms of narrative. It doesn't come off like a sports anime. It doesn't come off like wrestling either. Like it's all right in wrestling. In wrestling terms, the kayfabe of wrestling, where the story, everything is legitimate. That's how Tiger Mask presents itself. It presents itself as wrestling presents itself as a sport instead of being something insider, like the movie The Wrestler, where you have a breakdown of like, okay, this is how we create the stories in wrestling without actually killing each other. These are heels, these are faces. At least this incarnation of Tiger Mask doesn't do that. I know the original Tiger Mask kind of leans that way, like the series that was in the 70s. I know it kind of leans that way, but I don't know. Beyond that, I have no idea. Fried Sheep says, I'm going to be watching Golden Time for the first time soon. I still don't know if I will like it or not. If you like Toradora, there's a possibility that you'll like Golden Time just because so much in terms of like staff is similar. And in terms of like the original creator, it's the same original creator. But that's not a guarantee. I know a lot of people that like Toradora that don't like Golden Time and vice versa. In fact, I'm one of those people that I kind of like Golden Time. I don't love it. I kind of like it. And I'm not really a fan of Toradora, mostly because I don't like tsunderes. Like there are very few tsunderes that I appreciate. With Asuka being like Asuka from Evangelion being maybe one of the few exceptions, and even then, that's kind of a stretch. Mostly because I've dated tsunderes, and it's always been a miserable experience. Like it's always soon and never dairy, and I don't like that. Haven't seen the anime of it, but its dub is pretty hilarious. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Tug. Are you talking about Death Note? I have no idea. Which Tog is there's a manhwa. I know I'm probably not pronouncing that name right, but there's a manhwa called Tower of God, abbreviated Tog, that is fantastic and I highly recommend. Highly recommend. It has great art, an interesting story with a really deep and involved lore. Yeah, it's really good. Golden Boy. Oh yeah, Golden Boy is fantastic. I love Golden Boy. It's dumb and it's fun. It's the so bad it's good type of dub. I kind of wish it would have gotten a treatment similar to what like Ghost Stories was, where rather than a so bad it's good, it's just all right, no, we're just fucking around to try and make this good. That would be nice. Fried Sheep seems to be excited by Tower of God. Take that as a recommendation to read Tower of God. It's really good. I've read the first, I think, 200 chapters. Whatever was covered up to in the last manga pod that I did with Aaron, because Dodger couldn't show up. Yeah, that's as much as I've read, and it's fantastic. I want to read more. And what I'll probably end up doing is the next time I read Tower of God, I'll probably go back like 50 chapters and start from there. Okay, well, this stream has been going on for about 45 minutes, something like that. And my throat's starting to hurt, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop here. I've been talking continuously. I was expecting to have guests show up, but I guess people got busy, and that's okay. But these streams are going to be happening more regularly. Just feel free to leave whatever feedback you have in the comments below. I also plan on maybe changing the presentation of it and having like a static image, or maybe planning things out a little bit more and using OBS to broadcast on YouTube, and like maybe like not script, but like format a stream and then use different scenes in OBS to like kind of play into what I'm doing. I haven't thought that all out though, so I guess we'll see. Like kind of an interactive video in a way. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. There's a lot for me to do. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe if this sounds like something that would interest you. If not, totally understand. Check out my other videos. That's a better indication of what this channel has to offer. Also, feel free to check out my main channel, Lou Talks Anime, my gaming channel, Lou Plays Games, and my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Lou Plays Games. Anyways, I will see you all next time. Later.